Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. This is the first of our primary webinars for 2024. And this evening, Jenny Kavanagh, who's a very experienced teacher and reviewer and has used Abair Liom extensively in the classroom, will be talking us through how Abair Liom, the second edition, can help bring Irish to life in your classroom. And Jenny will also be talking to us briefly about our new Irish leveled reading series, Liom. We have produced books for first to fourth class, but our new set of books for fifth and sixth class will be released this autumn. So I'm just going to share the presentation now, and Jenny can take it from there.
Perfect. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar showcasing the second edition of Abair Liom from junior infants right up to sixth class. So as Karen said, I'm currently a junior infant teacher in Kildare, but I use the program daily, but I've used the program at several levels at this point, right up as far as sixth class. And for me, one of the greatest benefits of the Abair Liom program is its ability to immerse our students in the whole world of Abair Liom that Folans have created. And immersion, we know, is the single best way to embed language skills in any language, and particularly strong oral language skills. And then those strong oral language skills pave the way for progressive reading and writing in later years. So without further ado, we are going to jump directly into the Abair Liom programme and point out the many merits of it. We're going to start with junior infants to second, a very quick whistle-stop tour of junior infants to second. We're then going to take a walk through third to sixth. The second edition has brought many fantastic changes in those levels, so we're going to take a look at those. And finally, we'll take a look at the added extras that really elevate Abair Liom to a whole new level. So Abair Liom, from junior infants to second, provides the perfect balance of print, digital and hands-on resources in one easy-to-use package. The programme consists of a pupil book, flashcards that personally are my go-to. The ones I'm using for the fortnight sit on my desk. I use them every day. I see junior infants making up little games with them themselves. I think it's the third year that I'm pulling from the same box of flashcards, and they are still the same quality they start with. They are fantastic quality, and they really are a brilliant addition to have to hand. There's extensive digital resources, a fantastic teacher's guide. At infant level, there's also the Sean and Schiefer puppets, but a beautiful set of big books. I'm going to be talking about those later on because they are definitely a highlight at these levels. And Abair Liom is the only Irish programme with such a comprehensive set of hands-on resources, very much in line with the play-based approach to learning purported by the primary language curriculum and the new curriculum coming online for us. So why might you consider Abair Liom from junior infants to second in your school or with your classes? And mainly it's because fun is at the heart of the Abair Liom programme, from the humorous scenarios that the characters find themselves in, to the playful elves and the mischievous monkeys that are hidden in the posters. Children can relate to the characters and apply the language they are learning to their own lives, be that in the context of a school lunch scenario, making pancakes, or watching the Late Late Toy Show. Abair Liom brings Irish to life through extensive digital resources. There is a library of digital resources available for each level. There's interactive posters with animations, questions, vocabulary games, activities, and more. There's animated choral to support the teaching of the focused language structures. Very, very catchy songs and poems that they do love. They'll be going around your head in the evenings as well once you get home. Phonics activities and clock to flashcards that I actually really love. I loved when this was added because it's revising those basics that we really need them to know by the time they're getting to second class, so that we can build on those skills as they move up through the school. They revise things like numbers, colours, verbs, feelings, and much more. So one of the digital resources that I was delighted to see reinstated is the click and animate mode of the poster. This mode allows you to click on a character or an object within a poster, which then gets animated with accompanying audio. And when the Flash resources were converted to HTML5 a few years ago, this feature got lost. Thankfully, technology has moved forward, and I'm delighted to see this has been reinstated as a feature once again. So it's actually the mode that we're going to take a look at, because we're going to take a little look at the digital resources now. So we're going to take a look at this activity in the poster, as well as a vocabulary game and the phonics flashcards.
Rinne toaster. Tholo lai gol banya.
So this is one of the vocabulary games.
So. Laba.
And finally, onto one of the phonics games.
Glass.
So with Abair Liom, you can rest assured that there is complete curriculum coverage. There's extensive support for oral language and reading and writing throughout. And every resource is meticulously planned, putting on Cuiga Cumarsoida at its centre. The revised phonics content in Abair Liom is now clearer and much more systematic. It closely mirrors phonics development in English, supporting the transfer skills between English and Irish. And I directly see this happening within my own junior infants at the moment. You'll see that a lot of the phonics activities, both in the student's book and online, resemble those found in English phonic programmes. The second edition also brings much better thematic alignment. We've made sure that themes are very closely aligned across junior infants to second class. This makes for improved spiralling of content and better support for multi-grade settings who may wish to use more than one Abair Liom level within their classroom. And on to planning, and I absolutely despise planning, but I do see it as an absolute necessary evil. I see when my own planning is better, my teaching and then ultimately the learning is better. So I put up with it. I still dread it every fortnight, but I put up with it. We recently changed our fortnightly template as well in school as a whole school to reflect the changes required by the new primary language curriculum. But the fortnightly plan from Folan's for the Abair Liom programme is still my go-to. I just love the layout. It's very, very clear. It's very usable. It completely cuts planning time. Absolutely mapped to the primary language curriculum as well. So you're not going from loads of different books or loads of different websites to find your plans. So as you can see, there's yearly plans, fortnightly plans, and unit plans. The yearly plans, firstly, offer an overview of the scheme. They demonstrate how to break down the content over the course of the year. They allow you to see at a glance the progression and spiralling from class to class, which greatly impacts and improves whole school planning. The fortnightly plans then contain all key details for each unit. They're editable, which is really important. They can be adapted to suit the needs of your class. We all have those busy weeks. I'm sure we're all at Seachtain na Gaeilge next week. We had Creativity Week. We were closed for the referendum last Friday. All these things, affect our planning. So it's lovely that you can take chunks of it and move them to a previous week if you know something is coming up, or move them forward to another, to the following fortnight. You're still covering it. But it's lovely that they're adaptable and changeable and editable, that we can allow for those busy weeks, which are absolutely a fact of life. The unit plans then break down the content in a day-by-day scenario. Now these big books are absolutely beautiful. Again, this is one of the highlights of the second edition. As far as I know, they were introduced with the second edition anyway. This is what I see really elevating my teaching. The language in the books is absolutely beautiful. There's lovely phrases. The pictures are very engaging. As you can see, there's a mixture of fiction and non-fiction. The titles you see on the top are the junior infant books, and the titles you see on the bottom row there are the senior infant books. Now we do chop and change a little bit in our school. We do share the resources. I did borrow the Pancoga book recently. I read it for maybe 4 or 5 days coming up to Pancake Tuesday, and by the time we got to making the pancakes, I didn't necessarily have to be speaking Irish, but I was getting full sentences from them telling me what the next step was, and it was across the board. And it really just showed me the value that these books have. They're a mixture of traditional tales, original fiction and non-fiction. Anybody using Explorers for SESE may recognise the integration there as well. So lots of integration opportunities. And real life non-fiction as well. You may see there even the language on that last Tiger and Tortoise page completely maps the primary language curriculum there, the focus on opposites as Gaeilge. So that is pretty much the main highlights of junior infants to second. I know it was quite quick, but the second edition for third to sixth really bring a lot of changes, and that I'd like to focus on those tonight. When you move to the senior end of the school, it's almost like a completely different job. It brings with it its own set of challenges, particularly with Irish. We are battling that poor attitude to Irish. at this end of the school, and there's plenty of research on it. It's because they don't have opportunity to experience success often because it gets very difficult. We lose that sense of fun because we're so bogged down in content and in grammar and in verbs. They lose interest because it's not fun and engaging. So all of this have fed into the second edition of Abair Liom. The primary change I see is accessibility. There's been huge strides to make this program as accessible for all, while still retaining huge stretches in differentiation to really stretch those students that are capable, but allowing so many of the students to experience success. So hopefully that is what will become evident to you. So just like the junior end, Abair Liom from 3rd to 6th class is everything you need in one place. The program consists of a pupil book, the most comprehensive set of digital resources of any Irish scheme, with interactive oral language posters, animated choral, digital stories, vocabulary flashcards and games, grammar flashcards and games, phonics flashcards and games. There's also a fantastic teacher's guide as well as termly assessments available online. The termly assessments are super. Now, I didn't always, especially if they're a week class, I didn't make my students sit the assessment all the time, but I always found it really helpful to use it as a guide to make sure that I was on track with my teaching, that, could they answer this question if they were to sit the text, but also that over the course of the year, I made sure that they were ready for the content that was coming at them in the next year group. So the termly assessments, excellent as an assessment tool, but also to track progress to make sure you're on track too. Finally, I know Karen mentioned this at the start, in the autumn, the last 6 levels of Lake Lawn will be available for teachers to use. The levels from 1st to 4th are available right now and being used in schools, but the final 2 levels will be available. So that means there will be a complete set of Irish leveled readers from 1st class right up to 6th class. Now, I will be talking about those later on, and I've a slide on them to expand on what they are, because they are a brilliant addition. So Abair Liom from 3rd to 6th class contains everything you need to successfully teach Irish. Accessibility is key. That is what maintains that motivation to learn and that experience of success. So it's accessible enough to meet the needs of all children and engaging enough that they will continue to be motivated to learn. There's fantastic support for parents that I will go through, and there's very, very comprehensive planning. So in order for you to see what a fortnight or a monthly theme might look like for you, we're going to take a walk through Abair Liom from 5th class to see exactly how the programme would meet teachers' needs and the needs of our students. So May Féin is a theme here. It lasts for a month, and within that month you have Unit 1 and Unit 2. So Fortnight 1 obviously is Unit 1, and Fortnight 2 then is Unit 2. The theme starts with a dedicated page of key vocabulary and language structures, provides a very handy reference for children to know what the focus of their learning is over the course of the month. But equally, as teacher, I found it so helpful to know, to keep me on track as well, because that the Asian layer you see at the bottom, I used to ensure that by the end of the month, as many of them as possible were as competent and confident as possible on these phrases, that they were fluently answering me. So it pushed me on to make sure I was pushing oral language, but equally for them to know that how far they were going to get. Now, vocabulary flashcards are available digitally. These can be printed, which I love seeing because it cuts out that Googling and twinkling and laminating and printing, and they're there for you to hit print. Digital games support the consolidation and practice of vocabulary and phrases in each unit also. So the next section of your textbook is an illustrated poster. This serves the stimulus for your oral language. Digital versions of the poster are also available, and it includes story, vocabulary, question modes, as well as a new labelling mode. That there's a clip of that in the online resources coming up. The reading text for Abair Liom comes next, and this is where I really see the accessibility coming in. There's been huge changes to extensively revise these and to improve accessibility. There's lots of repetition of vocabulary and language structures. Much more illustrations have been added to support understanding. The audio of the texts are also available online for children to access at home. So should this be sent home for homework, it can be read to them at home. The choral text have also been colour-coded to help children understand who is speaking. We know children often find that difficult when it's a whole list of writing like that. So it's colour-coded for ease of access for students. And in addition to the animated versions of these activities, there's real-life videos of children speaking the focus language structures, which has also been added to help engage and motivate students. And on to grammar. And we know this is one of the biggest challenges. It's where we suck the life out of the Irish lesson, bogging ourselves down in grammar. We recently surveyed our students at the senior end, and grammar came out on top as the reason why that poor attitude is creeping in. It's too hard, it's too boring, it's too... So it has been revised. The presentation of it has been completely revised in the book. There's now a focused double-page spread for grammar and verb instruction, kept concise enough. However, there's enhanced visuals to support explicit modelling and instruction for each grammar topic. You'll see the two starred tasks down the bottom, supporting differentiation. So stretching those students that are capable of it, and while those students are being stretched on these activities, it gives you a chance maybe to work with weaker students to really ensure that the basics are attained by them. Also, to keep the fun element, there's digital grammar games are available for each unit so that children can practice in consolidating their learning in a fun way. Each theme also then has a dedicated listening activity. And on the right side, you'll see a spread for the revised phonics spreads. The structured and systematic phonics instruction in each unit supports pronunciation and spelling. As with the junior end of the programme, phonics flashcards and games are also available online to ensure they're hearing the pronunciation correctly all the time. Okay, so we're now onto the main text of the second unit. So we're on to the second fortnight of the theme of May Féin. So this is the main text of the second unit for May Féin. In the revised edition of the programme, the text has been spread across 2 pages. That came from feedback from teachers, I think, that, you know, instead of having it all squished together, so it's spread across 2 pages. Lots of bright and engaging illustrations to support understanding. There's increased repetition of vocabulary and phrases to ensure that texts are as accessible as possible for all children. And as previously mentioned, a digital version of the story is available online. So again, it can be read to the students if they're struggling with that. The audio is also available on folens.ie for parents to access at home. Now, I particularly like how the questions are phrased. It's a fantastic example of differentiation. So the questions that follow the main text are color-coded for ease of use and spiral and difficulty. So the green questions there, the answers, you know, when you look back in the text, they could just be lifted from the text. The yellow questions then take a little bit of tweaking, a little bit more thinking. They may have to piece 2 elements together to come up with their answer. In the red questions, then they are totally formulating their own answers. And finally, then the starred activity down the bottom, they're writing their own recount, again, based on what they've just read, but they are definitely really stretching there. So I think that's a fabulous example of the level of differentiation within the Abair Liom programme. And finally, we're on to the last section of it. Now, personally for me, how I chose to teach it when I was in 6th was I used to spend 3 weeks building to this activity throughout the month. This is your written activity. So I spent 3 weeks really working on the vocabulary, making sure that was embedded, the phonics aspect, spelling, which I'll talk about in a minute. So really ensuring that they were ready and prepared to do this. And the main reason that I chose to do this was to give enough time to it, that they had thinking time, possibly a draft and a redraft, that they weren't producing a piece of work at the end covered in my red pen, pointing out all their mistakes, that they could produce something they were proud of and something that they were confident to tackle. I just love the layout of it. I think it gives our students the best chance of success with this, which is the most difficult element of it. This follows the gradual release of responsibility model, which is the really appropriate way to teach written work in another language. Lots of scaffolding and lots of support at each stage. So finally, we know how hard it is because they're so cool in the senior end. It's so hard to find engaging oral language activities for them that will prove popular. The junior end, they're bouncing off their seats to play games and oral language games. They just want to be heard all the time. But in the senior end, it gets a little bit harder. So this is a very popular one. It's a lovely example of just some of the oral language games that are littered throughout the Abair Liom programme. But this is Guess Who, Os Gaeilge, allowing them to practice the phrases and vocabulary that they've learned, you know, for hair and eye colour and all those things. So one more feature of the pupil book that I'm so glad to see this come in with the 2nd edition is an integrated spelling program. It is at the back of your textbook, so it cuts that need for a second workbook that they forget to bring home half the time. Anyway, there's 12 spellings for each week. Now, what's important about this is 6 of them are directly related to the theme that you are teaching. So then when it comes to the written piece at the end of the month, they have so many spellings that they've learned over the course of the month, preparing them further for that written task. Within the weekly spelling, so there's 12 for each week, 6 are related to the theme, 3 are verbs, and 3 are phonics based. There's also online printables and practice activities there. So onto the digital resources, because this is where the fun element comes in. There's an extensive range of digital resources available for the theme within the programme. The digital posters are the perfect stimulus for oral language conversation. Each poster contains multiple modes: explore, story, questions, vocabulary, and labelling. The reading text in the pupil book are also available digitally with full animation and audio to support children's learning. There's animated chorale in each unit that model the focus language structures in each lesson. And then there's lovely real-life videos of children speaking Irish. It's lovely to hear the different dialects and all those things. It's lovely to hear the pupil voice as well, helping to bring the language to life. The new grammar games allow children to practice and consolidate what they've learned in a more fun way. It's also easier to teach key phrases and vocabulary in this way. Phonics flashcards and games are also available with the audio so that children can hear the correct pronunciation as they are learning. And finally, there's loads of songs and poems that are quite popular. The example here is actually from Abair Liom JI, and it's Galway Girl by Monday. So just a little look at the digital resources now. I'm going to show you some of the digital resources starting with the poster. As you can see, there are 6 modes here, giving you lots of options for engaging children orally. We're going to take a look at the story mode first.
An dúchal nua. An chéad lá man fór atá an. Tá na páistí ar ais ar scoil. Seo é seomra ranna, cheáin agus hiafra. Tá an múteoir ag chur fáilte ribh gachtaine. Tá sceitiméní áthaiseoir. Féach ar cheáin. Tá íomh mhór air. Tá Aoife agus Tomás ag caint sa córa.
And now the labelling mode.
Ag éisteacht. Ag éisteacht. Ag caint agus ag córa. Ag caint agus ag córa.
So again, you can see an element of the accessibility there. When they click on the little headphone, it reads it for them if that's something they're struggling with. So again, it's lovely to see the digital resources really being as accessible as possible. We're going to look at a grammar activity now. So as you can see, there are several grammar activities in each unit. Some are focused on grammar, while some are specifically focused on verbs. We're going to look at one of those verb practice games, which allows children to revise the most common verbs in Irish. And finally, we're going to look at one of the vocabulary activities. For each unit, there is a set of vocabulary flashcards. That's in the first box there. There's a vocabulary game and then an Aishimnary activity, so the children can practice and consolidate the language structures that they've been learning for the unit. The flashcards are available online to print, as I said, cuts, the Googling and laminating and all those things. For classroom games, that you can print them out, but also to support that print-rich environment matching your theme. So this is one of the vocabulary games.
Jeff Mlíana. Gruig aga hion.
Sorry, I just missed the end of it there. I'll just play it again for you. Hold stopped. We'll move on. It's one. So we're on to planning. So as with the junior end of the programme, Abair Liom from 3rd to 6th has really comprehensive yearly and fortnightly plans. So the fortnightly plans contain 2 key learning outcomes across oral language, reading and writing. As you can see from them, they're completely mapped to the primary language curriculum, so one source for all of your information. They also identify the focus language structures, as well as the language structures that children have learned in previous classes and revising. So if something is bold, it's new, they haven't met it previously in the programme. So that's your explicit learning. And then if something is not bold, it's your ongoing learning. They have met it previously, it should be revision for them. Gaeilge Navra Múl then is also clearly listed for each fortnight so that you know what your target language is there. Finally, we know that parents are often very keen to help their children learn Irish, but may not be confident themselves in speaking it or reading it at home. In order to support parents, there's lots of resources on folens.ie, including audio to accompany the reading text in the student books, vocabulary flashcards and games. So these resources can easily be accessed via a QR code on the inside cover of the textbook. So in summary, from 3rd class to 6th class, it contains everything you need to successfully teach Irish to children. Accessibility is key to keeping confidence high, so it is accessible enough to meet the needs of children and engaging enough that they will continue to be motivated to learn. Fantastic parents or support for parents on folens.ie, and very, very comprehensive planning tools. So one of the added extras that has come along, we definitely have it in school for a year now, is the Leighlum programme. It was published, I think the first 12 levels from 1st to 4th class have been available. I think that's what we have in school. And then this autumn, the 5th and 6th class levels will be released. There's 15 books aimed at each class level. They can be used in class for guided reading or sent home for independent reading. The books have proven very, very successful with teachers to date. They're very popular with students. They're very attractive with a mixture of fiction and non-fiction texts. They're carefully levelled with a strong focus on sight words and constant repetition of key phrases. Oh, sorry. There's also teaching notes on the inside cover, and you can access an ebook version of the text with audio on folens.ie, as well as sight words and vocabulary flashcards. There's also support for parents, so if this is sent home, they can scan the QR code and the entire book can be read to the students, which is a fantastic support. And if you want to take a closer look at the books for yourselves, they are up on folens.ie, as well as samples of the digital resources, if you want to try them out in class. And also the samples of the planning are there for you to see the level of depth that goes into the planning resources. So thank you so much for your time this evening. I really hope you found it interesting. I'm going to hand you back to Karen for just some information on other webinars and for a Q&A. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that, Jenny. So just to let you know, we have a webinar for our new primary maths program, Maths My Way. Again, this is a fabulous program, not dissimilar to Abair Liom in that it combines digital print materials, and we also have brand new teaching slides, which should be a real support to teachers navigating the new curriculum. Our two authors, Patrick Neary and Elaine Dillon, will be taking you through that. That's next Tuesday, March 19th at 7 p.m. and you can register on folens.ie. So if anybody has any questions, I know there's a couple that have been put through in the chat there, but if you have any others, just send them through. I'm happy to respond to them now. Okay, I don't think we've anything new there. Okay, so I just want to say thanks everybody for joining us this evening, and it's been great to have so many of you here. You can view all of the resources on Folens on folens.ie. All of the class levels are there from junior infants to 6th class, so you'll see sample pupil books, you'll see sample digital activities. And they're each there for every unit from every single class. There's a sample unit for 6th class, but the full book will be available to view online in another couple of weeks. So you can go and take a look and compare them to your current class levels. I know we had a query earlier on just from a teacher about whether or not she should move to the 5th or 6th class second edition book. So if you go on there, you can take a look at the books. You can see what's new and what's the same as your current books, and you can take it from there. I just see we have a question there just in relation to Maths My Way. Yes, it's only available for junior to second class currently. We do have a series called My Problem Solving Journal for 3rd to 6th class. So that's a scheme we published last year. We published it for 1st to 6th, but if teachers in your school want to try it out for 3rd to 6th class, it's a nice way, I think, of dipping your toe into the new curriculum, because there's lots of really meaty problems for them to solve, and it's one task per week. So you can also check that out on phonons.ie. I see there's a query now about the Liom leveled readers. You can buy them in packs, currently in packs of 5. So there's, for each class level, there's a pack of 5. So there's 3 packs per class. So that would be, for example, from Bawn to Jarrow to Yellow for your first level, and so on and so forth, all the way up. And you can contact your local rep for details around the pricing for those. Okay, I think that's it for now. So thank you everybody for joining us. And like I said, if you've any other questions or if you want to view any other material, just go on to phonons.ie or just get in touch with any of us or your local rep. Okay, thanks.